तो इंडिया की आउट परफॉर्मेंस मोदी जी पे पूरी तरह से डिपेंड नहीं करती। टर्न्स आउट जो हमने पहली गवर्नमेंट बनाई थी 2014 में, उस गवर्नमेंट के पीरियड में भी निफ्टी ने अराउंड 10 to 12% का ही रिटर्न दिया था। Means what comes ahead has less to do with which government is in the center and more to do with how we handle our growth. Outperformance or underperformance in the upcoming crash solely depends on the decisions we take now. Now, I'm betting on outperformance because we have taken some very good decisions recently. First, India's soft power has never been this high. We have helped Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Turkey, Israel without really asking for anything in return. In fact, कभी-कभी तो हमें सिर्फ धोखा ही मिला in return. Going from begging the world for money during a tsunami to offering the world free vaccines during COVID-19, we have transformed our image. This means that we can argue for favorable trade deals and push our agenda with countries like the UAE and UK already being our partners, and more countries from the Oceania, the Africas, and South America to follow soon. This means that trade shocks like what happened with the US don't really affect us as much. They will still have an effect on us, and we'll probably see a growth slowdown. We will see company earnings fall most likely, but उसका impact उतना बड़ा नहीं होगा जितना हो सकता था. Second, we are defensively solid now, and that has to do with two things. First, हम जो defense equipment अपने घर में बना रहे हैं, that in itself helps us plan for decades ahead. Second, Pakistan is already busy with Balochistan, and China is preoccupied with its economy and the Trump tariffs, which means for the first time in our history, in all likelihood, we are free of our neighbors. We can expect that we'll get at least a few years जब इन दोनों के पास टाइम ही नहीं होगा हम पे फोकस करने का. That is a kind of geopolitical stability that India is just not used to. That allows for some severe outperformance if we can make some really good decisions. I do think कि बलूचिस्तान में जो हो रहा है उसमें हमारे इंटेलिजेंस सर्विसेज ने कुछ तो किया है, but hey, I'm not complaining. Third, we have a much clearer business ecosystem now. Of course, developed economies से हम फिर भी पीछे हैं, but things like GST, having OPCs have allowed us to go into manufacturing, allowed us to go into industry like never before. Fourth, we have a weakening of the West जैसा कभी इतिहास में पहले नहीं हुआ. And इसकी वजह से we see opportunities in Africa, South America and the Oceania like we could never have seen before because उन regions को the West was dominating. Fifth, by the sheer weight of our population, consumption में and social media में we are unchallenged. China is closed to all Western social media. So the only country with a population like ours is, well, us. Every creator on social media has to think about our country. Every country in the world has to keep a good image with us, otherwise they will be destroyed on social media. And our issues will always find dominance, will always be trending because हमारी population ही उतनी बड़ी है. Consumption के मामले में every company has to focus on us now because हमारे पास सिर्फ spending power ही नहीं है, we have the numbers that nobody else in the world could match. Remember, US इतना important market बना था because वहाँ spending power थी. कोई affinity नहीं है लोगों को US से that this country is just something that we have to be a part of. The reason why all the companies go there is because people spend money there. That is now happening in India, and it's happening across all segments. From the richest of the rich to the middle class, everyone is ready to spend that little bit of money. All these were reasons why India would outperform, but उससे ज़्यादा important question है कौन से sectors outperform करेंगे? Because that's what we are concerned with, right? हमें अपने पैसे डालने कहाँ हैं so that we can outperform Nifty. Now to understand that, we need to understand exactly how we will outperform. कौन सी चीज़ें हैं जहां हमारी गवर्नमेंट फोकस कर रही है फॉर आउट परफॉर्मेंस, वहां से हमें मिलेंगे वो सेक्टर्स जो आउट परफॉर्म करेंगे. सो रेलवे, डिफेंस, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर स्टॉक्स, ये सब पहले तो वर्क कर रहे थे, बट मे बी दे वोंट वर्क इन द नेक्स्ट लेग बिकॉज अब गवर्नमेंट का फोकस शिफ्ट हो गया. एंड गवर्नमेंट कहाँ फोकस कर रही है? रूरल इकोनॉमी पे. दैट हैज बीन एविडेंट फॉर द लास्ट 2 बजट्स. That means अगर हम इंडिया की कंजम्पशन स्टोरी पे डिपेंड कर रहे हैं तो वी हैव टू शिफ्ट आवर फोकस फ्रॉम अर्बन कंजम्पशन टू रूरल कंजम्पशन. एंड व्हाट डू आई मीन बाय रूरल कंजम्पशन? It's mainly going to be your FMCG stocks like Dabur, Nestle, HUL. Now these are not going to give you multi-bagger returns in 2 years. So यहाँ पर if I'm working it, I would work in futures. But again, this is not investment advice. इसके alternatively, you have slightly more high beta stocks like Hero MotoCorp, for example, 2-wheeler stocks. I wouldn't go into TVS because बहुत outperform कर चुका है already, and I would definitely not go into Mahindra and Mahindra 4-wheelers में because उधर I think saturation आ चुका है. I might go into Maruti because वो थोड़ा low budget पे काम करते हैं, and the investment that Suzuki is bringing into Maruti, that might help it out. So all in all, I'm looking at FMCG, which should do well over the next 2 or 3 years, and I'm looking at two-wheeler stocks as my main focus, with Maruti being an outlier that could also do well. On the second leg of the same, we have our diplomacy, which has been working very hard in the background. Make no mistake, the only reason कि इंडिया का मार्केट इतना अच्छा परफॉर्म कर पाया था was because Mr. Jaishankar made some very good deals abroad. अगर रशिया ऑयल हमारे पास नहीं आता तो we would have been in trouble. If Mr. Jaishankar had not defended us as well as he did after procuring this oil, तो अभी तक हम पे sanctions लग चुके होते. The fact that none of this went wrong is why we have outperformed, and यही diplomacy आगे भी help कर सकती है. We have been making good trade deals, as I already said, with UAE, UK, and everyone else, and there I'm focusing more on the Middle East. The reason I'm doing that is because it's a very fast growing country. I can expect the population to rise sharply, which means demand rises sharply for two main things: chemicals and pharma. India Pesticides is perfectly placed to be an outperformer because of this. Going back to the roots though, we have to remember two very important things are ending for us. Russian oil khatam hone hi wala hai and China plus one khatam ho raha hai. That is why FIs are moving back to China from India, because they know China is making a comeback. What I'm trying to say with this is, ye sari jo growth stories hain, they will work, but they will take time. I don't see them happening over the next 3 months. I think एक बहुत बड़ा fall pending है. उस correction के बाद, which I see going to at least 22,000, उसके बाद हम सोच सकते हैं कि हमें next bull run में कहाँ invest करना है. So if I'm you, I would not buy right now, and even if I do, I'd buy thinking कि मैं भी 25% ही invest कर रहा हूँ. I'm going to invest every 10% का fall, I'm going to invest 25% more. That's how I'm looking at the market right now. With that in mind, and knowing that I'm not an investment advisor, I wish you a very happy journey for the next bull market. I'll see you next time.